bones cling to my skin and to my flesh, and I have escaped of the skin of my teeth. This is the word of God for the people of God.
Thanks be to God.
And you may be seated.
So, we are in a sermon series where it's called Back in the Day, and we're talking about some of the Bible passages that we have that are in our language that we use on a maybe a consistent basis, but we use and you hear use those idioms, as we call them, that are a part of our language that we may not even be aware of. Come from the Bible. We have a rich tradition in the Bible of those phrases being used and continuing to kind of carry on. And the one I want to talk about today is skin of the teeth, or about the skin of my teeth. And it is a phrase that actually predates the King James. The King James, of course, was not the first English Bible that was published. It is the most common, but even before the King James, and I will be reading out of the King James, but even before the King James, you had the Wycliffe Bible and you had the Geneva Bible, and those Bibles were instrumental in terms of some of the language that we have today. A lot of what Shakespeare had, what Shakespeare used in quoting the Bible, would have come from some of those earlier translations, even before the King James. King James was around the time of Shakespeare, but a lot of that was coming even before from some of those earlier versions. And here we see a passage. Here we see a scripture that everyone kind of, I think, has a pretty good understanding of what it means. If you have a bulletin, you probably noticed on the front of your bulletin cover a little hand that's being pinching, right? Kudos to Jane. We were looking for teeth, but we didn't find any good images of teeth that we wanted to put on the cover. And so this is the closest we could get. It's close. To representing what that means. And as we look at the scripture, I want to read it to you again. My bone cleaveth to my skin and to my flesh, and I am escaped with the skin of my teeth. Now, in Job's understanding, it might be a little different than how we view this passage today and how we use this passage today. Slightly different, I should say. And that, think about what Job went through. Job, of course, was a very wealthy man, had much livestock, had many servants, of course, had 7 men and 7 sons and 3 daughters, had a wonderful wife, and all of this. And then as the story of Job unfolds, we see that there is an argument that takes place between, a discussion maybe, if you will, between God and the devil. And the devil says, Satan says, there's no one on earth that's righteous, no, not one. And God says, have you considered my servant Job? And then ensues all of what happens, all of the destruction, all of the death, all of the children, and of all of the servants, and of all of the livestock, and then, of course, all of the illnesses, the boils that cover Job, to such a point that it is as if he is left with nothing. And in chapter 19, before God comes, well before in chapter 38, in that famous passage, we have another set of important words. I am escaped with the skin of my teeth. And then it goes on to say, have pity upon me, O ye my friends, for the hand of God hath touched me. Why do ye persecute me as God, and are not satisfied with my flesh? Oh, that my words were now written. Oh, that they were printed in a book, that they were graven with an iron pen and lead in the rock forever. For I know that my Redeemer liveth, and that he shall stand at the latter day upon the earth. It is as if in the midst of all of this pain, it is in the midst of all of this suffering, it is in the midst of all of this calamity that has come upon Job, he still realizes he has a choice. That he realizes he still has the ability, with that free will, to make the decision about how he is going to live his life. And I would maintain that we have that same set of choices. We have that same set of circumstances in our own lives, and they may be very different from Job. I do know that as we look out in this congregation and in this world, this community, and those who have lost loved ones, who have lost spouses, who have lost children even, who have borne and bear the unthinkable and the unspeakable. And I in no way want to say or trivialize the pain and grief that we have gone through. That is vital, that is important to recognize. Here in the midst of this, Job is still faced with a decision about what he is going to do in the midst of it all. In addition to crying out, and in addition to this sense of there is this much that is left, Job chooses to recognize God's almighty hand and to recognize that in the midst of suffering and in the midst of death, there is new life and that there is resurrection power and hope. If we as Christians know nothing else, if we as Christians believe nothing else, it is that we know that Jesus Christ, our Savior, has died and has risen again. And we have that message to proclaim in the midst of everything that is broken and everything that is wrong with this world. In the midst of gun violence, in the midst of all of these horrible mass shootings, Christ is still present. Christ's love is still active. God is still working. In the midst of broken relationships, in the midst of those that, if you turn around and you watch the news, there is another celebrity couple that it's just a struggle to exist in that eye and a struggle to do well. There's brokenness that goes on. God is still present. God is still working. God is still active. And in the midst of all of these things, it is, though we escape by the skin of our teeth. Now, I don't know about you, but if you think about the visual image of the skin of our teeth, I don't know, it kind of sounds a little gross in some ways, right? It kind of sounds a little off-putting. And we don't really have skin on our teeth, and depending on how you interpret this passage, it is as if it is by I think the easiest way to describe it is, again, by the barest of margins. The skin is the thinnest of the thin layers that would be describable. There is that just barely there, making it through. And yet, in the midst of barely making it through, God is present. And Job chooses to recognize who God is. Now, Job will go on to give God quite a bit of grief, right? Job will go on to start to complain because his friends get to him and he finally loses it and it's too much for him. But there again, God corrects, God improves, God tweaks, God changes and says, you don't understand everything that's going on. You know just a part. You know just a sliver of everything that is at work in this life. And you choose to view out of that little bit as opposed to out of the whole. I heard someone say this week that we're talking about the nature of love. And, you know, I had heard lots about love. I, of course, as a pastor, preach on love, talk about the importance of love. It was in this quote, this person said, I don't have the exact paraphrase, but it was as if they were saying, there comes a point where we have to ask ourselves at what point does someone become unlovable? They're lovable at the age of 6, and we can see through them and love them as God loves them. Maybe at the age of 12 or 13. Then they get to a certain age, they do a certain amount of things, and then they're no longer lovable. And he continued to go on and on, talking about the nature of God's love being so vast, being so beyond what we can comprehend and understand. There's not an age limit to God's love. I have to admit that it was in that moment that I felt incredibly humbled. I felt incredibly overwhelmed. Because there again, I'm exposed to something that I do not know. I was exposed to something that I thought I understood, but I realized I only grasped a very bare sliver of. And it is in the midst of that kind of suffering and that kind of pain that we do not fully understand or grasp or aware of, that we still yet escape. We still yet have the opportunity to praise God. We still yet have the opportunity to realize that in Christ Jesus, all things are made new. And that we can claim and cling to that eternal promise even when everything else seems gone. I realize that I don't even have to fully understand it for it to be true. I know that my Redeemer liveth. And I can say that, and I can believe it all the more so. Because there's so much more to who God is. And there's so much more to what God is doing in our lives than we often bear witness to. You know, there have been multiple studies that have been done, multiple tests that have been done to talk about memory, cognition, awareness, in terms of what we remember in a day, in terms of what we remember over the course of a week, in terms of what we remember over the course of a month or a year. And studied over and over again show that it's easier to remember the hang-ups, the hurts, the failings, the faults, all of those things. But it is infinitely harder to remember the joys, the celebrations, the moments of triumph and the moments where God has spoken clearly and plainly. It's part of human nature, it seems, to focus on those things. And Job's friends were focused on those things. First they said, if you would just not sin, if you would just not have this guilt, maybe you're not worshiping in the right way. They had a whole list of reasons why this was all broken. If you would just curse God. But Job continues to persist in the midst of unimaginable, unfathomable circumstances. He understands that list. He doesn't shy away from that list. He cries out in the midst of that list. But he does not let that list have the final say, not in this scripture passage. He says, I really do believe that my Redeemer liveth. And here it is as if we escape by the skin of our teeth. You're here this morning, and it may not have been easy to get up. It may not have been easy to get out of bed. There may have been broken hearts. There may have been hurt words that were said to you. There may have been people that have sinned against you and are in need of forgiveness. God is merciful to you, and God's at work in your life, even if it is only by the skin of your teeth that you have been here today. But we practice that faith that is greater still than everything else that is in this world. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.